Hello. In this video I'm going to be talking about my vacuum switching valve repair. This isn't a comprehensive video on repairing it. I'm just going to go over some things that might help you if you're repairing it. There's forums on I Hate Mud and factory service manual, things like that. But I'm using a method where you leave the factory VSV in and you replace it with an aftermarket one. And I'm using this Dorman. It's 911-850, and I'll put a link in the description to this. And the idea here is that you replace this valve, the factory valve, with this, and just, I don't know, zip tie it or mount it on the outside. So I've made this repair and tested it. I'm waiting for the engine to cool down before I completely put it back together. But on this Dorman valve here, you do make a modification. It has some little like keys here and a clip. You cut those off. I use a utility knife, and then that will plug in here. It'll plug into the plug. So now on to how did I get this out here? So what you have here is a bracket that's bolted on here, and there's another nut on the bottom. So I put my arm down through here to get down there, and I used a ratchet that looked kind of like that with the extension that looked about like that, 14 millimeter socket on it, and I got that down there, and I had to put quite a bit of pressure on it. I actually broke it free with another wrench. But you might put a little cheater on there because there's not a lot of swing room. But this is a high tooth count socket or ratchet. So I got that broke loose down at the bottom, that bracket, and I loosened it up just so I could pull this out of the way to the side. Okay, and then I stuck my hand back in here. It was very difficult to do, and I was able to pull the vacuum hoses off. So there's a vacuum hose on a plastic piece. This is on the new one here. And that goes from the plastic piece on the VSV up to the bottom of the intake manifold. And then the second one is on the back side. So to access that, I climbed up on the engine and got back in here and was able to remove it. And so this vacuum hose for the second one goes to a T. So this one goes to the bottom of the intake, and it's on the plastic part. This one goes to a T. Getting this off was kind of difficult. What I ended up doing is I have a long screwdriver with kind of a small tip on it, and I stuck that back here. I climbed on, I stuck it back in there to kind of release the clip, and left the screwdriver there. Then I reached in here with my hand and was able to pull it down pretty easily at that point. I couldn't stick my hand in there, release the clip, and pull it down with just one hand. So I had the screwdriver in there, pulled it down as a separate action. There's no clip holding it on here. You could put some tape or something on there, but it seems pretty secure, so I'm just going to leave it as is for now and hope it stays. So like I said, this side's going to a T. That ends up right here. It's kind of hard to see here. There's a vacuum hose right here, and that looks like this. Okay, so this was cracked a little bit, which makes me wonder now if that was part of my problem. It's not going to focus very well. Although I'm not sure it was leaking, but there is some cracking on it. You can see the cracking. So I replaced that, and I replaced that with this. If you want the size, you can look this up. It's Armor Mark. There's a 50211 7/32 inch. That seemed to work pretty good. And then this is a code. You can pause the screen here. This is the hose that replaced, I think it's a number 0 hose is what I had, number 0 or number 1. So this is the other hose I used for the VSV. You can look that number up and get the exact size on it. So I had to replace that. That was a little tricky getting this piece back in, but it was curved a little bit, so I got it kind of hooked on there and then pressed up and used a screwdriver to slide it up all the way and got it back on, and then hooked it up back on the T. So now I have two long pieces of vacuum hose here. This one's going to the T, this one's going to the top of the intake, and what I'll do is I'll end up disconnecting these. I'll get the bracket back in place, and then I will I'll either zip tie it, or I may just use some like copper wire since it won't corrode or like dry rot and crack, or something like that, and I'll kind of strap it onto that bracket. And I did run this and it got rid of my P0401 air. I haven't driven it, but I did let it get up to operating temperature. So I think that's going to fix it. But I just wanted to make this video in case people are kind of running into trouble or kind of understanding what it's going to take. Like, it helps to have small hands, and I don't have like super small hands. If you have small hands, you're going to be in better shape getting in here. Otherwise, you might want to recruit someone that has small hands to get in here and loosen those up. A couple times it was hard to get the vacuum hoses off, so I'd take the screwdriver in there and I'd pry down on it and was able to get it off. But you know, be careful not to break anything when you're in there, so don't use too much force. So but that's it for this repair. Like I said, it's not comprehensive, but if you have any questions, certainly leave them in the comments and I'll try and answer them if I can. And I'll put links in the description to the products I used, and thanks for watching.